Hey people, Noobert here, and today we are going to talk about some of the best mods to go into 2024 with. So the Alpha mods video was a fun overview of all the Alpha series of mods. However, during production, one very impressive mod came out we didn't talk about, Alpha Prefabs. Oh boy, this is a doozy of a mod. Basically, you now have a way to get access to awesome looking builds through a simple prefab, something like a Dragon Ball capsule system. Just take the prefab package, set it where you want, and activate it. Boom! Instant housing. Not lying when I say there are hundreds of different options and designs for your pawns to enjoy. More so with the many mods this work with, like Rimworld and the vanilla expanded stuff. First thing I thought when this came out, I could do an entire playthrough with this. Turns out if you have this in ideology, you can have a meme based on owning prefab stuff. So guess great minds think alike. Now, how does one actually get these prefabs? Simple. Either make them yourself with new workbench, or if you don't want to access it and just want to use what you find, then bulk good traders tend to stock them and they act as a quest reward. Though if you use Winston Waves, they also act as a reward, which, given the storyteller's desire for more and more combat, having pre-built buildings can be useful. Best part, there is information for modders to make their own prefab stuff, which means more awesome pre-built buildings for all. High quality mod to start this list. Next up, inject genes. So if you have the biotech DLC, one of the fun parts of it is finding gene pack and making new xenotypes with them. The problem is that you need some pretty high research and facilities set up to even do it. However, Inject's Genes fixes this problem by letting colonists take the gene pack and injecting it into improve themselves. And that's it. Now you can search for gene packs, inject them, and make colonists bit by bit improve themselves. Feels like a cool idea for tribal or medieval playthroughs to find these devices and using them at one-shot improvements. I think so. This next one is more for the landscape. Dynamic flooding. With this mod, now you have to take into account your base position when it gets rainy. Flood water makes movement harder and can damage exposed items. But hey, extra water is good for mature plants, maybe not so good for immature plants. Seriously, rain now can wet soil and make it more fertile, but harder to walk on, so your plants will thank you. Is it a mod for everyone? Maybe not, but perhaps you might find a use in mod packs since this mod is surprisingly designed to be lightweight. Though on the subject of landscape, you will certainly feel like a proper Ashlander with Mashed's Ashlands mod. The man behind Morrowind worked to make an updated mod for the modern Rimworld player. A huge variety of biomes, animals, and items to make. Also cliff racers. Lots and lots and lots of cliff racers. Seriously, the amount of work on this one makes me want to go and boot up Morrowind. And remember, there is no map markers and that the cliff racers can and will ruin your day. But hey, at least we have this mod to let you experience the Ashland. Plenty of other mods by the creator, including race mods that fit right in. So, Sir Mashed Potato, yes, we salute you and wish you the best in creating more awesome mods. Now, while you are out and about searching for ways to kill the menace that is cliff racers, perhaps you find other stuff of value. This might be because of L's Archaeology, a mod that lets you enjoy the perks of legalized grave robbing. To do this, just make an archaeology bet. Have a pawn good at research and with some decent manipulation, and have them crack open some rocks. From there, you can find all sorts of goodies, from old weaponry to even magical rings that give buffs and debuffs to a pawn. Plus, you get cool decorations with the stands and make a museum. Have visitors gawk at them and give you some donations, or sell your findings. I'm not indie claiming it belongs in a museum. No. Really a cool mod for any era of playthrough. Earlier for new gear, and late for something to do. L, you did good. Hope to see more from you. Speaking of scavenging, Romiyashi has you covered with a lot of mods for that type of gameplay. We wanted to showcase a small amount of what they provide, from more plant and tree products to give you more materials like acorns when you chop oak trees, or pine needles from pine and so on. Very nice to get a bit more usables from that. Same with more animal products. Now some animals give extra products like horns, mandibles, antlers, and of course fat. Not only are they simple simple sellables, but you can even make weapons out of them. The mechanoid reusing 2 does what you think it does. Scavenge mechs for parts for new weapons, bionics, and lamps, and turrets that don't require power. Are you starting to see why we like this? This isn't even getting into the scavenging mod for early item gathering, or the making cleaning, give you bits and pieces from the filth you clean. Do yourself a favor and check out their mods. You might find a mod to fit into your next playthrough to make it a bit better. Though, thinking on the subject of mechanoids, I have to bring up the wonderfully silly eccentric Militaurs. By, and yes, this is his name, Black Market 420. This up-and-coming modder brings another fun mod in the form of uniquely dressed Militaurs with different abilities. Yeah, this is a fun mod. I love the designs, and hopefully he adds more soon. The abilities fit their use, and of course they have the power to act as generic workers, mostly hauling, but some can craft, cook, cut plants, and some other word that starts with a C. Oh, and summon little homies, which my writer loves. Nothing like unleashing an army of elves, sharks, and chickens on your foes. A mod to keep an eye on for day to day, or just to make your game a little more whimsical. Least before Randy punishes you for your hubris like he always does. Of course, if you plan to have a lot of those mechs, you need a lot of parts, be it material or even the unique chips of the boss mechs. The reusable mech summoners is a nice quality of life mod, does what it says, makes it so mech summoners don't self-destruct. Saves you a headache, not to mention spare parts, plus it has mod support with stuff like alpha mechs, so you don't have to worry about issues with that. You know what? Let's include another mech. Bill Door's Lift Turtle, an adorable little mechanoid turtle for all your lifting needs. I like turtles too, zombie dude. I like them too. Also, I don't like being called an AI voice just because I love robots and will totally worship my future robot overlords. Now, moving on, one of the biggest problems for doing a mech playthrough is 2 things. Number 1, power. Number 2, waste packs. You make from all those mechs. Luckily, there is a solution for both. The waste pack power plant. Yep, does what you think it does. Convert trash into power and solve 2 problems in one. Just don't smoke near it. It does have a habit of going off in a blaze of glory. They may or may not be hilarious, depending on circumstances. I really need to remember not to store all that stuff in one place, but hey, out on the rim, OSHA is not a thing, and I'm taking advantage of that. So now that we got some explosive power, why not use it for other uses? Turrets. Lots and lots of turret mods out there, but one that caught my eye was Slow's turret correction. Oh yes, a lot of turrets inspired by Command & Conquer, but if you are gonna ape a turret type, why not ones from the franchise that gave us Tim Curry going into space? You got lightning, you got railguns, got a barrage of powerful energy that seems to go over walls. Yes, is it broken? Maybe. Is it cool? Oh heck yeah, it's cool. Let your raiders realize their mistakes as your turrets fry them up from even before hitting your hungry colonist oven. Woo. Now then, how about we do this next one Texas style, specifically the gunslinger style. Deployable turrets lets you act like the NG main you wished you could be in Rimworld. A backpack or bionic ability, you can now summon a micro turret to aid you. Pretty cool and useful. Great to have turrets distract opponents or weakening them. Plus, no need to worry about accidental friendly deaths when they explode. They explode in EMPs, though do keep in mind if an enemy pawn has a chance to come in with a utility pack, might also come with one of these. Oh yes, so you might get some added problems, or added fun if you look at it differently. Also, when a turret comes from a kit, when it's used up, it might give you one of the 2 components needed to fuel this. So nice to know it helps at not being the worst drain of resources. All in all, a great mod idea, and perfect for being out on the field if you need an escape or that extra firepower. Oh yes. Now let's say you don't want to kill off your hostile and possibly terribly bathed neighbors. Well, first off, not really the way we run my colony, but hey, you do you. Second, the non-lethal extra mod might be what you are looking for. A mod that works to add on to the vanilla expanded non-lethal weapons, rubber bullet shotguns, pepper spray, a syringe gun, which I think should be classified as a war crime, especially if you have a fear of needles, but that's not what you want. You want turrets, and turrets you shall have. Mannable ones and unmannable, big tear gas guns, syringe miniguns, and taser shots all are here for non-lethal help. Do keep in mind that turrets don't target prisoners anymore. There's a mod for that. So put these in the prison and watch as prison breaks are broken up. Oh yeah, seriously, these look great and work as good support turrets to help get prisoners for one reason or another. So for some playthroughs, this is a top tier pick. For something non-lethal, try pulse weaponry. What is a pulse weapon? Well, take a charge rifle that has full auto and give it fuller auto. That's a pulse weapon, and man, is it satisfying to have a line of colonists with these firing on incoming threats. These high-tier weapons will be your endgame weapons and turrets, especially since the turrets don't use power. They eat up ammo, like Bren eats at an all-you-can-eat buffet, but like Bren, these turrets won't let you down unless they blow up or are destroyed, in which case that's a letdown. Oh, it also comes with an enforcer mask that makes you look like a certain civil protection from Half-Life 2. Guess that's where the pulse weaponry came from. Oh yeah. So this next one is one of those make the game harder type mods. The Gun Research Overhaul mod. Granted, this isn't a mod for everyone, but I can see the value in it. It expands on researching guns, since after all, guns are complicated. Just knowing some things about a pistol doesn't mean you know how to make a proper 50 caliber sniper. Makes no sense. This mod works with mods like Combat Extended, Vanilla Expanded, and many other mods that include firearms to expand on the gun research. If this is the mod for you, hey, more power to you, but for me, I'll stick with banging enough rocks together to somehow make a charge rifle. Oonga boonga for life, baby. So with all these guns, turrets, and mechs, that's a lot of moving around, be it moving with guns or moving around the guns. Yeah, okay, this is a bit of a stretch to connect the pathfinding framework mod to the previous entries, but that's the rim, baby. But what does this actually do? Well, it lets entities move around in newer ways. Birds can fly, fish can swim, and mechanoids who should be immune to fire can actually run right through it rather than avoid it. It's a mod to improve the experience of other mods. This is why we have to include this. It's the base for a lot of other future mods. Plus, it's modifiable, so you can have your pawns fly around like Puma Man, and that alone is worth the price of admission, especially for a mod that's modding mods to mod the mod. Or isn't mods, mod. So now that you can travel, why not travel to some ancient sites of hydroponics and mining? Both of these mods share a similar idea, finding old sites to benefit from the ancient technology. Hydroponics will provide you the chance to find old hydroponic basins that don't require power. They aren't as good as regular hydroponics, but just the ability to grow plants without needing power can be a game changer, especially in the early game, or in regions like deserts where growing space is sparse. You also might get lucky and find an ancient sunlight that, like the hydroponics don't require power. Just make sure it's a fully functioning one. There are damaged ones that give a small amount of powerless light, but that's it. The other major mechanic with this mod is the nutrient solution you can collect and make with the right research. You put it in a drain or use the storage tanks to keep it all and link it to hydroponics. And yes, this works with vanilla expanded stuff. It will then improve the growth rate of plants by using the solution. Don't worry, you don't need the stuff if you use the ancient hydroponics. It just is a plus, never a minus. Really, the only complaint with this mod is that for the ancient stuff, you can't deconstruct. You have to go out of your way to smash up. Though this is a choice of the modder to make sure you get exactly how much material he wants you to get from them. As turns out, if you have a high construction skill, deconstructing gives you more material from the structure, so you gotta respect that. As for the mining industry, as implied, you look for the ancient mining sites and salvage what was left behind. So to get missions from here, you got two choices. Wait for a mission or research the ancient mining techniques to make the ancient site scanner. Either way, you will travel to these sites and find a source of materials from minables to salvageable. Plus, new mining gear like the huge tunnel bore, which can drill through anything in front of it. Yes, that includes living things. The automatic drilling rig for automatic drilling action. Automatic, it's drilling action. The ore dressing machine, which can automatically turn rocks into bricks, sometimes even finding metallic materials. Oh, and shotgun turrets. Makes sense in close quarter situations like mines. When you got insectoids as a viable threat, having shotguns on your side can help. They come in ancient, new, and giant. Granted, the giant has to be found, but it's a nice treasure to bring back home. Both of these mods are awesome for making you want to travel, and far as balance is concerned, you don't need the items, but having them certainly helps, and the sites look really good. I love traveling to the different mining and hydroponic sites to see the different designs. Hope to see more from this modder in the same vein. Maybe maybe ancient animal and ranching sites, like finding cryo-frozen animals that automatically tame to you. Perhaps link that with VE genetics, just a thought. On the subject of vanilla expanded, rather than talking about vanilla expanded here, let's talk about a mod to enhance two of the mods, Empire and Deserters. Now get a mod for them called Imperial functionality. If you haven't played Deserters, you get missions to mess with Imperial sites, finding stuff like in-the-ground auto hydroponics, surveillance sites, and so on. With Imperial functionality, you get legal access to usable items, all by either joining the Empire and getting gifted the tech prints, or, you know, buying the tech prints from merchants. Seriously, this is an awesome mod because the items are pretty useful, looks good, and of course, helps your nobles not have to do some work, especially the auto hydroponics. Ugh. Plus, you have a way to get the normally not craftable Absolver and Tech Frere gear, or the fun Fletcher rifle that causes acid damage on organic. Heck, even tech printers to make copied tech prints for your own purposes. Remember, don't copy that floppy, put it to CD, much more stable. Obviously, a must-have for Imperial playthroughs for more benefits. Oh yeah. Now, if you are going for an Imperial playthrough, gonna need some Bionics. Luckily, we got two Bionics that are opposites in nature, but both will benefit your pawns. The Heck and Crypto Bionics. Starting with the Heck Bionics, they are what you wear when you want to harness this power of fire. Each Bionic providing a new energy source called Plasma. Using it for some Bionics, you can pull off some new tricks like breathing fire, launching yourself with fire, and of course, launch a shot of fire like a cannonball. The kids love this one. Seriously, this is for those of us who love the Doom Eternal aesthetic, which is metal as heck and hot as balls. The parts as fire, as balance, beyond the ability feel on par with regular Bionics. You certainly won't have any issues using them, but what about the system mod Crypto Bionics? Well, these are the mods for those of us who want to chill out like a certain miser. Obviously, taking inspiration from the vanilla expanded Vikings crypto stuff, your pawns will have harnessed the power of cold. Now, each of them do confer a penalty. The cold material will slowly down a pawn by bit. Hardly noticeable if you have a couple on, but if you go for the whole set, you will start to notice some slowdown, and no, not from your 200 mods you have installed. However, the benefits might be worth it, each Bionic giving heat resistance and reducing incoming damage by 8%, so have a pawn with a lot of these on. You might have the unstoppable force holding the gate. Plus, some of the abilities you get can be pretty cool if you don't mind the obvious pun. Is it as good as the Heck Bionics? Well, I leave that up to you. It's certainly thematic, and both can have a place in any playthrough if you ask me. Of course, if you want to have some real heavy metal for your opponents, can always pull a Shinji and get in the robot. The XVI Mech Frame is that robot. Big, heavy machinery pawns can load up into and use to bring down the thunder on anyone who thinks they can steal your corn. So, these are machines that require a lot of work, but what you get is a lot of value. More survivability, stronger weapons, cool mechs that we all wish we have to fight against Rita Repulsa. Or maybe that's just my writer. Do, however, keep in mind, with great power comes great power bills. Also great enemies, since there will be a faction of mech crushers with anti-mech weapons coming for your stuff. Other than that, a fun mod for some playthroughs, and hope to see even more mech designs since they look pretty sweet. Of course, if you prefer not to use a mech but still bring the hammer of humanity on your enemies, then Rimworld 40k is where it's at. A mod designed to emulate Warhammer 40k's iconography, gear, and abilities with relatively balanced way. I mean, it's hard to balance a bolter when it's literally a 75 caliber assault weapon. So what do you get? Well, currently in Rimworld you have the basic mod, the framework, and core mod. The core mod provides your rogue traders to trade with new material to build with. Oh, and the ability to make corpse starch, cause hey, the human body has a lot of value even when dead. Naturally, you also get plenty of buildables in the form of very fancy and tough walls and even plasma power generators. But that's not what you want. I know what you want. You want Spec Marines. The Angels of Death mod add-on is an appropriate name when you arm pawns in this armor, and the armaments included. Your enemies will fear you. The creation of said armor is pretty cool, plenty of mix and match choices including paint jobs, so make sure your favorite chapter, or you make it your own, of course. Just remember to always thin your pants. Oh yeah. Oh, no, my bad. Just remember to thin your paints, don't thin your pants, oh gosh. But yeah, the weaponry on offer is pretty nice. Bolt guns in both regular and Storm Bolter variants, not to mention with many of different ways to dish them out. Plasma weaponry for your overcharged fun. Meltus when you really want to kill things with fire. Grav pistols because crushing someone's from afar appeals to me. Oh yes, it does. Flamers for more spread out flames. And of course, melee weapons to cut and smash your foes. I happen to like the chainsword, but I know a lot like the power sword, and for good reason. Finally, for those who play with Combat Extended, this mod right out of the gate is compatible. So yeah, don't have to message if it is. Of course, it's not just the Astartes that wins the fight. It's the rest of the armed forces of the Astra Militarum. Oh yeah, that are charging on the foes of humanity. This mod provides plenty of uniforms for whatever part of the military you want, from the Cadian shock troops, the Tempestians, oh shit, and even the Death Corps of Craig, yep, Not to mention many more I'm not quite as familiar with, or the others I wasn't too familiar with, but it's not just the clothes that make the man on the battlefield, it's the weapons. Like the Astartes, there are bolt weapons, but the focus here is lost weapons. The universe's most deadly flashlight. You got plenty of flavors of flashy death on offer. Of course, if you prefer something that goes daka daka daka, then please line up to get shot for being on Orc. But you might also like the auto guns, which are good, reliable, ballistic rounds, yes. And of course, being on the field, there are field manipulators like trenches and barbed wires, perfect for setting up funnels and kill boxes, and of course, looking good. Once again, Combat Extended compatible. Oh, and if you have biotech and the Warhammer 40k Abhuman mods, you got Rattling the Organ xenotype that they're weapons and armor. After all, they are legal Abhumans in the army, ready to die for you and me. Finally, the vehicles, a great supply of the ground, and in some cases air. Vehicles, from the humble Astartes bike to the classic Lemon Bruss tank, and the always helpful drop pod, you got a vehicle for any situation, step C. But when you got stuff like the Valkyrie and Overlord in the air, do you really need to go out to sea? With this mod, you got everything you need to build your vehicles. No need to download the VE Vehicles mod, just the framework. Let me know what your favorite vehicle for 40k is. Of course, you might need some enemy xenotypes to bring down. After all, in the Imperium, a lot of Abhumans need to be purged. And according to the Warhammer fandom, it's furries as one of the most degenerate of Abhumans. Oh yes, so the Anthrosne, oh shoot, I'm messing it up. Anyways, you know what I'm saying? Mod is perfect for that kind of playthrough, or you know, for everyone else actually using them. So rather than creating a whole bunch of races and universe, it's more or less cosmetic animal add-ons. All genes can be found by traders and used by splicing, and the xenotypes can show up in raids or as visitors. Pretty straightforward, and they all look pretty good. Nothing too complicated or out of the ordinary in Rimworld. After all, if we can have pig people, we can totally see other cosmetic genes being used on the market in this setting. On the subject of colonists, and namely recruiting, ever have this problem? A visitor shows up from a friendly caravan and they are related to one of your pawns. If you want them in your colony, you have to arrest them. Usually doesn't end well for anyone. This is where We Are United comes in to help out. It gives you an option for pawns to ask other pawns if they want to unite. Now, depending on many factors, including being related, social skills, and general relationship, you might bypass any imprisoning and recruiting processes. Yeah, this feels very natural, and it's not 100% perfect, so it's pretty balanced. I know my writer goes with a rule of if they are related, we take them in, even if it's an uncle who is a pyro and drunker than 10 stepdads half the time. Though if you want to have better pawns without setting for scraps, you recruit just cause you found. Try the Architect genes, a favorite of my writer, and for good reason. God genes, yeah, this is a xenotype not found in the world. If you want this, you gotta either start with one or cheat it in, or find the mysterious Arco Tech bio unit that changes your pawn for the better, becoming harder, better, faster, stronger, not to mention greener. Yeah, these pawns are gonna be your favorite with these genes running faster, fighting harder, seeing better, regenerating wounds. You basically got a big green pillar man, especially if you get 3 to fight off raiders. Yes. Is this balanced? Heck no. Is it fun? Heck yes. Am I going to download it right now and use it in my next game? I don't know, maybe. But should you? Also a maybe. Moving on. Alright, a cool mod I found for this has to be layer destruction. This is one that makes it so that when a wall is destroyed, it's not exactly gone. Instead, you get layer destruction going from normal to now holes in the wall that act as an embrasure, built with pretty bad cover, and then actual breaches people can go through and ruin your day. Of course, if it gets really bad, you have rubble trouble that over time will destroy itself, so try and fix it up if you can. This is a great mod because it gives you a chance to head off any problems at the pass, so to speak. Breach raids can be a big problem for anyone, so given pawns with construction skills can go and repair the damages and rebuild walls, make sure you fix up those holes. Don't want to have your guys finding out what pain feels like unless they're masochists. If you have forces, gonna need food. And on that somewhat connected note, packaged nutrient paste. I've said it before and I'll say it again, nutrient paste is very good since it always comes out with no chance of food poisoning. And that means no headaches watching your pawns vomit their guts out. Probably is even if you use tricks to collect a bunch for storage or use vanilla expanded nutrient paste. The stuff will need to be refrigerated. So now you can package it up. Sure, it tastes pretty bad, but it's pretty useful. Just for having meals, you know, won't make anyone sick, and at 1 survival meal, 2 paste, it's a pretty fair ratio of crafting, so a small but pretty useful mod. Just know that most pawns will hate you for it. But what pawns won't hate you for is the dumplings mod. Delicious, tasty meals made up of rice and other raw material. Of course, this is 2 steps. First, you make the raw dumplings, which make for easy storage. Then you cook them up in 2 ways. Making a dumpling meal, which counts as a fine meal, or in a dumpling crate, which acts as a lavish meal. A good way to use up a lot of ingredients in a pretty nice way, plus the mod has some support with other popular mods, vanilla expanded, cooking for gourmet variants, VGP garden, gourmet to use the flour in that for reduced workload, or the medieval overhaul for their flour. Might have to talk about that one later. Honestly, after your pawns had some of this stuff, there certainly won't be leftovers. A good dumpling can help any mood loss for sure, in and out of game. On the subject of leftovers, there's a mod for that. Yeah, a simple mod that turns food into leftovers if the nutrient value is filled in a pawn, but there would be some leftover in the food. In this colony, we don't tolerate food waste. People died for this food, literally, so we aren't gonna waste it. No, no, no. Now with leftovers, it acts as a sort of kibble, great for prisoners or animals, and you don't feel bad making food waste. I know Sanji would appreciate it. Of course, one other thing we don't like is bodies, since half the time we can't get rid of them or use them. In comes the corpse cannon for all your recycling needs. Yes, a cool mod where you make ammo from the dead corpses every colony has lying around at the butcher table, and then load up the cannons. Each shot will do high infection damage, meaning the cycle continues. Pretty straightforward, cool design. Hope there are more variants added in, like mortars, or smaller or larger variants. Can see an entire turret selection devoted to this, or maybe that's just me wanting to help the environment by recycling. You gotta be a good person. Of course, we have to include a super overpowered mod, and I can think of no better choice for over-the-top fun than the Beyond the Ambition of the Cosmic mod. This one acting as a kind of reboot to the Ambition of the Cosmic mod. If you don't know, this sets up research and tech you research after ship research, meaning this isn't research for helping you leave the planet, it's to let you rule it. With power new materials, oh yes, powerful new materials, weaponry and armor, not to mention better food and an entertainment, your pawns will work hard to create paradise in your land. Not kidding about the weaponry. Even the Gen 1 weapons are still better in every way than charge weapons. Gen 3, well, yeah, that's gonna make the Empire look tribal in comparison. But that's not all you get. This mod has a lot of support with other mods and the base DLC, like the royal variants of the armor and biotech gear that really makes her Mechanitor the machine god mind you want him to be. This on top of mod support with vanilla expanded, medpod, and repellents. Oh yeah, solar flare shields, Arcotech expanded, and much, much, much more. This is a mod that has shown a complete labor of love to the team who made this. We salute you at Team Noobert. Please keep up the good work if you are watching, or not if you aren't. I guess. But with an overpowered mod like this, you might need something to somehow even the playing field. I got it. For an honorable mention is the Unlimited Threat Scale mod. Sure, this wasn't released in 2023 or 24, but I had to include this for the lulz. More so with an over-the-powered mod like Ambition. Now, a lot of people like to say Crisis is your PC's trial by fire, but I argue this is it. After all, if you unlock the limit, you are going to get so many entities on screen and might, well, crash the game. Use at your own risk, and we at this channel do not hold any blame if your PC spontaneously goes up into a huge but awesome to look at fireball because you had too many entities in Rimworld. Thank you, have a nice day, and have fun defending yourself from the Zerg Rush. And that's a lot of mods to go into the new year with. I'd like to thank all the patrons Patreons that make videos like this possible. We couldn't do it without you guys. If you are interested in supporting us and getting early access to future content, here's a link right here.